I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party. I will remain as Prime Minister until a successor has been chosen. Thank you.
Liz Truss has just resigned. What happens now? Well, first of all, there's going to be this week-long leadership race. And the question with that is the vote just going to go to MPs or also include Tory members? Now, there's an argument for it just going to MPs, not least by those MPs who think Tory members chose the wrong candidate last time round, to say, look, we need an expedited process. We're in a cost of living crisis. We can't indulge too much discussion about this. However, they have to be mindful that they're 2 years out from a general election. These members, and indeed the grassroots and activists, are the very people who are going to be campaigning for them. So they can't really sort of cast them aside. That will go down very badly. You might even see Tory activists resigning and saying, right, I'm not doing this anymore if you're cutting us out. So that's a problem. That's why there is talk of narrowing down the candidates and then putting them to an online vote of the members literally over the next 7 days. Let's see how that pans out. Now, let's talk about candidates. Well, who are the obvious people? Let's talk about Jeremy Hunt first of all. He's ruled himself out because he can't spook the markets any further by saying he's resigning as Chancellor. With all of the economic calamity, that's the last thing that the Conservatives need. It's also a shrewd move by Hunt because it's basically guaranteeing him in the job, whoever takes over. He can argue, I've got a fiscal statement, I'm halfway through preparing it, we've got to produce it on October the 31st, and we can't have another change at the Treasury. So he stays where he is. Obviously, the main contenders that we're talking about are Rishi Sunak. Now, what's his shtick? We've got this whole argument about there having been a kind of left-wing, Remainer, moderate takeover of the cabinet. If he wants to appeal to the right Rishi, he should probably say, look, may I remind you, I was a Brexiteer. Like you, I voted Leave because you've got a load of people in the ERG and on that wing of the party furious about the treatment of Suella Braverman, who are looking for somebody to galvanise round, but it's going to be very difficult for them to coalesce around someone that they think not only is a moderate, but also that knifed Boris Johnson in the back. We'll come on to Bojo in a minute, by the way. And also, to be fair, Rishi can say, I've got more of a mandate than any of the other candidates because I was actually Chancellor under Boris Johnson and I've got experience in this particular cabinet, this particular period of office. Let's talk about Braverman. I think she's an outside hope, but obviously she has got a lot of support on the right and in the grassroots. Another outside hope on the right would be Kemi Badenoch, but there are suspicions around her relationship with Michael Gove, who isn't a popular figure on the right and is seen as very Machiavellian, so they'll be wary of her. They might also think she's far too inexperienced. Let's talk about the dark horse that is Penny Mordaunt. She performed exceptionally well at the dispatch box on Monday when you consider the adversity she was facing, having to say that Liz Truss was not hiding under a desk. She's an accomplished performer. She speaks human, which I think is a criticism that has been made of Liz Truss, so she may well get a lot of support. Ben Wallace, he's being described as the unity candidate because he's not particularly ideologically in one direction or another. He's somebody that people can galvanise around because he has done a good job at defence. Having said that, because he's done a good job at defence, there would be an inkling that maybe anyone who is Prime Minister wants to keep him at defence because we're in a difficult period of time. He's managing the situation only today with Putin and the nuclear threat. So he might just be poised to stay where he is. Inevitably, then, we have to come on to Boris Johnson, who is currently in the Caribbean, apparently watching the events very closely. Look, he's the only person who can argue against Labour's calls for a general election by saying, we had a general election in 2019, I won it hands down with an 80-seat majority. I'm the only person with a mandate to come back. We know he described himself as Cincinnatus in his farewell speech. We know there are people with seller's remorse. We've done polls of Tory members, so has Conservative Home, who now want Boris back. But will Tory MPs think that that's a good way to go, or will it look rather too retrograde to bring Boris back into the fray? Quite frankly, after the last, is it only been 72 hours since Monday that we've experienced, I think I'm just going to give up making predictions because anything goes. But keep tuned into the Telegraph. We're blogging, we're videoing, we're writing. We'll bring it all to you as soon as we have it.